Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Mark Hope Show. And I'm going to be getting into doing some comedy. And there's some things planned for the show that are going to be, I think, pretty exciting. And I think it's going to be funny. But look forward to that as we go along. I'm going to talk about a couple of things tonight, but it's going to be more educational than funny necessarily, except for hopefully there'll be some funny parts in it so we don't get too distracted. But if you're watching what's going on in the silvers market, and I'm talking about the physical silver, because the metals are rising rapidly. Gold has doubled in the last 2 to 6 months. Silver has gone from $30 to $120 and then back down to 80. And I wanted to do a show that explained some of the nuances of this stuff, especially since we don't want to be doing anything out of fear caused by lack of knowledge. And I explain things to you guys in a way that is very easy to understand. In all my years of teaching and managing and coaching, I always say that if somebody can't explain something to you that is very complicated and they can't put it into very simple words and concepts, then they don't know the subject well enough to be teaching you. Because if you know the subject well enough, you can distill it down to a place where a beginner can understand what you're talking about. If your ego is so small that you have to zoom over everybody's head and talk about things in such a way that they're intimidating, then you don't know the subject matter well enough. And as far as the silver market goes, there's, and I'm going to simplify this, but there's really two ways to buy, and we're going to stick with silver. Gold, we can talk about in a little bit, some of the other metals, but you either buy silver in its physical form. You go down to the coin shop and you say, hey, I'd like to buy this silver coin for however much it's going for. And they determine the value of an ounce of silver by what they call as spot. And spot is really just the middle mark. And if you're a dealer and you're in that business, you have a tendency to buy silver below spot. And let's just say silver's $20 an ounce spot. You would want to buy it for $19 an ounce. And then you would sell it to your customers at $21. And that's the buying and selling that happens. That's how that works. And you can either go to a coin shop or you can go to one of the reputable dealers. I go to JM Bullion, and let me just pull them up. Silver spot, and we look at JM Bullion, and right at the top here it says silver ask, and that's the spot price is $84.45. And that was, I don't know if they have a chart. Yeah, here we go. And let's look at the week. And this is what everyone's worried about, the week and the last month. So it's ramped up here. and then there was a correction. And I'll explain to you why I think this happened. And it's not the reason that other people are telling you that is the reason why this happened, but it happened. So there's massive run up. And if we look at 6 months, we can see that, in August of 2005, silver was at $38.51 an ounce. And then it just kept going up until it was 115, 120,000. And then it fell off a cliff last week. But you can buy, explain the differences between buying silver futures and paper silver and holding physical actual metals. So while she's working on that, I will explain to you guys that in my opinion, and I've made a bunch of mistakes in this, but if you're exchange trading silver, meaning you're going on Webull or Robinhood or even Schwab or Fidelity or any one of those exchanges, and you're buying silver futures, what is silver going to cost in the future? Or just buying ETFs, and that's electronically traded exchange. And if I was really fancy, I would say this was not financial advice, but I'm not giving anybody or charging anybody for advice. I'm your grandpa. So if that somebody is saying, oh, I'm going to hold all this silver for you guys, and that way it'll be in my safe bank location, and you won't have to have it at your house and worry about protecting it. And any time that you want to get your silver, all you have to do is call us, and we'll either send you silver or we'll send you cash. And that's a lie. And I would never buy silver or gold or anything like that from somebody that is representing that they're buying and selling the metals, because A, they're probably going to run off with the money, or they're leveraging. And that's how the fractional banking system works. If a bank takes in $1 from you and they hold it on deposit, they loan it out to 7 or 10 other people. In this case, these silver people are loaning it out to 29 other people. And so they get 1 ounce of silver in their coffers or whatever, and they say, oh yeah, I'm selling you this silver. Well, 10 other people in your neighborhood own that piece of silver in the hopes that nobody will ever want to actually get the silver. And if somebody asks for it, they'll just give them cash for the representative price that the silver is. And if too many people ask for the silver, then it'll crash the market. And that's what we were dealing with last week, is the big guys were afraid that everybody's going to ask for the silver and there'd be a run on the bank, so to speak. But I don't think it's necessarily a dangerous situation. But what I will tell you, and again, I would not invest in silver or gold with anybody that is holding the silver and managing it for me, because not only do you have to make the money on the silver, okay, they're taking out management fees, because they're protecting the silver and whatever, and it's a cost. And a lot of times, even if you win on your pick of, hey, I picked silver and it went way up. Yeah, well, you didn't make any money because, our CEO has a private jet that he has to take care of. And, so it's not good. And I bought palladium years ago, and I had palladium's going to go up, and I was right. I was right. Palladium went up. But the fund that I bought into was a bunch of cheaters and liars. And even though the palladium went up in price. My stock price didn't go up inside of the ETF that was trading the palladium because of all their mismanagement and costs and all that other stuff. So, you know, it's not a good idea. So if you're going to invest in silver, um, buy the coin and go to somebody reputable. There's a bunch of reputable people that do this. JM Bullion, AMPX, Kitco, and you can run reviews on these people or whatever. But there's two types of silver that you can buy pretty much. And one is just a silver round or a bar, and that is a minted proof of 999 silver. And it's a way to say, hey, we minted this to tell you that it's pure and that it's 1 ounce. And this is for you to trade silver in a way for it to be, measured. And then the person that you're selling it to can weigh it, and that ounce of silver exactly needs to weigh a certain amount, and you can verify that. And it's weird that the metals are exchanged in what's called a troy ounce, and a regular ounce is 28 grams or something like that, and a troy ounce is like something like 31 grams or something like that. So when you're doing your math, look up troy ounce versus regular ounce and then make your calculations based on that. And that is one of the reasons that you should go to a reputable dealer and not buy, gram bars off TikTok and different things like that, because they get it screwed up. And if you do a troy ounce of silver, as a matter of fact, let's ask her to do that for us. How many grams in a troy ounce of silver? So this is going to come up with 28 grams in a regular ounce and then 31.10. Okay. So we saw that the spot price was $84, something like that, divided by the troy ounce. And this is going to tell us what a gram of silver is worth. And that's $2.70 at $84 an ounce. And if you go on TikTok, and I'm not really equipped to do that right now, but if you go on TikTok and find out what these guys are selling a 5-gram bar for, it's going to be like $29. And it's not a deal. And I don't think that you should be investing in silver by the gram. I think you should save up your money until you can afford an ounce of something, and otherwise just do the lesser metals. Now, I'm going to give you an option to have an investment that's below silver, because silver used to be the investment that was below gold. So if you couldn't afford gold, then you'd buy some silver. And people who collect silver are called stackers. That's the slang. They're stacking silver, stacking gold, stacking the coins up. And, people that are wanting to do the gold stack silver, and now silver is $84 an ounce, and it just went down. So it's less able to afford that. So don't buy paper silver, buy physical silver, order it from these guys. Realize that if you buy silver from these guys, there's going to be a premium, and the price that they show you that they're doing this. Silver. Here's a silver bar. Okay. All silver bars. And there's a product type. Weight 1 ounce. Okay. So we're going to buy this 1 ounce bar minted, and it's not worth anything more than just the fact that it's saying, hey, I'm worth this much. And $84 is the ask on silver. These guys are selling this for $92.96. And notice that it says as low as. And what that means is these guys have a check wire price, a crypto price, and a credit card price. And if you buy 1 ounce and you write a check or do a wire, it's $93.96. Crypto, $94.94. And credit card or PayPal, $97.87. And that price is how you pay, and then how much do you buy pushes the price down. So when they say how low, as low as, well, that's paying cash essentially, and ordering 500 plus units. You can get it for as low as 92.96. So that's a lot of money. But the other thing that we were going to, that I want to talk to you about is these are silver rounds, and they're just okay. They're just what they are, an ounce of silver and plus or minus coin premium on the amount. And then you've got coins that have numismatic value. And the numismatic value, and I hope I'm using that word right, but I think I am, means it's collectible. And what that means is not only is it worth silver price, but it's also worth rarity. And a lot of people like the silver eagles because they're minted by the government. They're a government coin. They're backed by the government. And so they're worth more money. And some of them can be really worth some money because people collect different years. Like if you had a proof of a 1986 Silver Eagle, which means it's super shiny and it's a different rendition of the finishing process. And everybody wanted that year, 1986 or whatever, because Richie Rich is collecting every year or whatever. That's more money. So here's a Silver Eagle, and you noticed that the round was as low as $92, something like that. Well, this is as low as 99.27 because it's an eagle. And I think that if you're going to buy and it's this close, I would pay the extra $7 and get the eagle. If you're on a budget and you're collecting rounds and you're doing that, then that's a great way to start. But as you progress in your silver stacking, you want to get into some eagle, I think. And then a 10-ounce bar and a 100-ounce bar, and you can kind of take it as you go along. But this is really a beginner thing, and I'm not trying to talk to people that are experts in doing this because they know a lot more than I do. This is really for the beginners. And the talk about how gold and silver prices are relative to the strength of the American dollar. So we'll have her look up some information regarding that. But a lot of people like to say that the dollar loses value against gold and silver because it's a hedge against the dollar losing value. Well, I happen to disagree with that. And again, I don't know as much as all these other guys. I'm just an old guy that, is disabled and retired and has thoughts about things. But I don't think, we've gone off the gold standard, you know, for tens of years, of 20s years. I don't know, remember what it was. Um, when did we go off the gold standard for the US dollar? I think it was in the 50s or something like that. 1971, Tricky Dicky. So used to be before that, the dollar was worth an ounce of gold or whatever it was. You'll have to read this and don't quote me on any of this shit, but it was like you could trade that note for $1 for, one, you know, ounce of gold. And they went off that standard. And it was valuable because it was rare. I mean, it was finite. So if you wanted to get gold, you could trade your dollar with it. And if you wanted to do that, you don't have to carry around all this heavy gold when you want to buy your 74 AMC Pacer. And you could just have the dollar bills that would fit in your billfold or your purse. And so they connected that with the dollar, and the silver is connected to the gold as a ratio. And I think the golden ratio that they talk about is 50-1. And that means that an ounce of gold should buy 50 ounces of silver. And if that gets whacked out, there's something else. But there's so many other variables that are happening that I don't think we're on the gold standard anymore. I think we're on the F around and find out standard. And I think if anybody wants to, devalue the dollar, I mean, it's backed by the fact that America is, the strongest entity around. And, you can't just leave us out of everything. I mean, it's not possible. Oh, your dollar went away, so you're going to go away. And I just don't believe in that. And I don't worry about it. And honestly, we've been the number one currency for trading oil and blah, 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 blah. And we have to have that because, and it's all BS. And, why not be second place? Who was second place? Let's ask that question. Who was the second place currency to the US currency in the last 5 years? And I'm making this point to say that, there's companies that have been number two in reserve currency. Okay, so the euro was a second place to the US dollar. Well, they're doing pretty good. It's not like, oh no, the currency went, not in first place, so we're going to be a third world country. I mean, we actually should be second place for a little while so we could do better. And then we'll be first place for a reason. And so I don't think it's that tied that closely to, the precious metals because it doesn't have anything to do with that anymore. And that is the second reason that I'm doing this show. And I'm going to get into what silver does and what it does not do, and why you should hold it and invest in it, my opinion, and what it won't do. So now that we understand what silver is, how it's traded, where we can get it reliably, and how we should hold it. So we don't want anybody to be controlling our asset because they'll lose. and they'll go out of business, and it'll be a Bernie Madoff thing. Hey, we gave them all of our money, and it went away. Oh, sorry. Well, who thought Bernie Madoff would go away? We were giving him his money because he'd make us money and it was safe. Well, it wasn't. Enron, that went away. And it goes away. So anything big enough to hold you up can take you down. So let's buy and hold this commodity and not try to be, trading in the silver futures market, because you can only do that paper. And do you really own it? And can you get it at the end when, because nobody knows the crash that's going to happen. I guarantee you that no one no one saw this that happened. No one saw that. So nobody got out of their paper contracts before that happened. Well, that went down to zero, and margin call, JP Morgan Chase got a margin call for $4 billion, almost didn't make it. So when somebody goes out of business like that, you're going to lose your money, and there's going to be nothing you can do about it. People that are holding coins and metals in their safe deposit boxes in their banks, in coffee cans on their farmland underneath the water trough where the bulls are, that kind of thing, they're not going to lose their money. But if you're trading paper contracts on silver, it's not a good idea, in my opinion. But there's a lot of people that are mistaken. And this is the second part of what I'm talking about. And why do people talk about silver coins being tradable currency during the Armageddon zombie apocalypse era? Okay. And there's people that like to talk about it, say, oh, my money's in silver because, when, it goes down and all the banks are closed and everything's, gone to seed, then, it's recognizable, divisible, portable, durable, and you're going to trade, your goods with other people. And loaf of bread is not worth a gold bar, but a gallon of fuel, $100 bill. You're talking about all this stuff. Silver coins can buy food, and that's ridiculous. When it gets to that depression and it's a dust bowl and the banks have folded and everything else, nobody wants your silver coins. No one is going to give you a chicken for your silver dime. They need a chicken, they need eggs, they need a ham hock. What are you talking about? Why would I want useless metal coins for my chicken? My family needs to eat the chicken and the vegetables or whatever. You're not trading for silver. That's crazy talk, and it won't happen. Okay. And there is an old adage that says you can always buy guns with gold. No, you can always get gold with guns. You can't always get guns with gold. And that means you may want to trade for a gun to protect your family. And if all you have is a gold coin, you ain't getting a gun. That guy needs a gun. But if somebody with a gun wants to take your gold, if all you got is gold and silver, you're in big trouble. So those are the commodities that are traded. And compare and contrast the value of the 223 AR round over the last 20 years. So in that scenario where you wanted to trade a silver coin to the guy for his chicken, he's not going to do that. However, if you have fractional currency that is represented by rifle rounds, my suggestion is 223. That's the AR round, or 9mm, and that's a popular pistol round. So if you have stores of value that are in these units of ammunition, then you're going to have something that is not only fractional, but is tradable. And that's where you go below, gold, silver, and then fractional. And, you've got a 100-ounce bar, 10-ounce bar, 1 ounce silver, okay? Then half ounce, 10th ounce, and then you've got these gram bars that I was talking to you about that are just ridiculous and not worth anything. Before you go fractional at the gram level in silver, each one of these rifle rounds here are 39 cents right now. And that is a unit of value. And how do I know this? Well, I bought a bunch of this and I had it on hand. And back when the administration was a little less pro-gun than they are now, they drove the prices of the ammunition up. And it was, everyone was very scared that there wouldn't be any. So I bought a bunch of this ammunition for 30 cents a round. And then I sold it during COVID and after COVID for $3 a round. And then now that there's a different administration, now it's back down to 39 cents a round. So, I don't know, I didn't look at this, but 2005, 18 cents to 25 cents a round, then 12, 13, 40 cents a round, 22, 70 to 120 a round. I don't think that that's correct. I know it to be a lot higher from personal experience. The reality, ammo became more reliable than cash in some circles. So if you're waiting for that apocalyptic thing to happen, you're not going to be trading your bread and eggs and flour and corn and all that stuff for silver, fractional silver. You're going to be trading it for ammo. And nobody is going to trade their ammo, this, for your silver. They're not going to do it. So if you're really worried about the zombie apocalypse and all that other kind of stuff, this is really the hard asset that you should be controlling. Let me tell you some kids. Big Papa, I'm done. When the zombie apocalypse comes, I'm out of here. Because after we don't have internet and you can't eat in a restaurant, that's a wrap for me. I'm done. So that's it for me. I'm not going to be participating in the zombie apocalypse. At least not for long. I'm going to eat my donuts and stop taking my medicine. Peace out. But the reason that for normal people who aren't crazy, we can invest in this, not because of its utility in zombie killing or trading on the, Mad Max, era living, trading situation. We like it because it goes up and down. And anything that goes up and down in value is worth investing in. So if you bought a box of this at a certain time in history and it doubled in value and you sold it during the time that everybody wanted it, you are participating in commerce that is unique, I think. And I like the fact that it's, you know, like silver and gold because you have your own private little Idaho as far as something that's growing off the financial grid, where especially in today's, society where they know everything that you're doing, you know, they know where your bitcoins are and they can go take them if they want. This is a little bit different, and not that, I don't have a bunch of freeze dried food in my, pantry or what. I don't know. I'm not participating in any of that. All I'm saying is after you bought the gold that you want, after you bought the silver that you want, and if you want to do some fractional investing, buy a box of 9mm rounds, and they're going to be at a low price right now, and buy a box of the AR round, even if you don't have the weapon. I mean, the ammo is what is infinitely tradable, like nickels and quarters and, dollars. And the guns are a different story, and that's, a different topic and all the other kind of stuff about, how many of those guns should you have or whatever. But there's a bunch of people that have guns and they're going to want to have this ammo. And it's not going to be an apocalypse thing that happens when you're going to reap the rewards on your investment of this fractional currency. And if you're just starting out and you're saying, "Oh, I missed out. I wish I could have, gotten involved in this before it exploded. I wish I could have bought silver before it exploded to, from 30 cents an ounce of silver to 84 and 120. Some people are calling silver to go to 200. And I don't think they're wrong, but I'm not suggesting that you go out and invest at the top of this chart that we're looking at. Not suggesting that. Okay. I'm not buying at this level, and maybe I should, but I'm not doing that. But if you're a beginner, you buy a box of 9mm, a box of uh, rifle rounds, maybe you buy a box of shotgun shells. Okay, then you got those three things. Then you buy a half an ounce coin of silver, and then you work your way up to two boxes of each, and then a silver ounce, and then you're participating in it. And the thing about investments is getting started is the hardest part. And life is short, and it will be a blink, and you're going to look back and you're going to say, that Mark, he said to buy a box of that ammo, and I didn't even have a gun, and why am I doing that, and whatever. But, I could have taken it to the gun store or sold it to somebody in the neighborhood for, three times what I paid for it. Wish I would have done that. So that's just an alternative to the silver and gold discussion about what it is and how it is. Anyway, I don't take any money from anybody for my financial advice. And one of the things that I'm going to be doing some shows on are these life insurance people who are acting like me, and they're acting like they're trying to help you with your financial future. They're acting like they want to help you, and they don't tell you that they're life insurance or annuity salespeople. And I don't like that. I don't like that because they're tricking you into buying a product that is very expensive. Okay. And I don't think it's in people's best interests. I'm going to do some shows on it, and I will always, always, always encourage you to do your own research. We can go over to here and say, why is whole life a bad idea? And this thing is going to say there's too high of fees. Um, it's not an investment. And you can read it for yourself on here. Whole life mixes insurance and investing, and when you mix them, both sides get worse. I mean, it's not a good idea. And if you do these insurance products as an investment, okay, they charge fees. And the reason that these guys want to do all of this, 24-hour live TikToks and YouTubes, and they've got so much time to be sitting in front of their computer. I'm sitting in front of the computer educating you guys because I'm retired. I saved the appropriate amount of money. I'm disabled. And now all I have to do with my life is try to help somebody else not get hurt. So I got the time. I don't need to get paid for any of the stuff I'm doing for you guys. I do it because I love it. I love you. And I think God wants me to make the world a better place. And when I see a chance that I can do that, I do it. That's what I want from you. The only payment that I ever want from anybody who listens to anything that I have to say, if it helps you, reach down and grab the other person that's below you, pull them up like I'm doing. And when I needed help in my life, every time a hand above me has always pulled me up till eventually it's going to be Jesus is going to pull me all the way up to heaven. And then we're going to start that journey. And, that's how I believe. Now, whether or not you believe that or not, I hope you do. But I don't want any of your money. I don't want you to buy my course. I don't have a course. If I did have a course, it would be free. I just want to help people. And these other folks that are out there, I don't think they're being honest. And when you are looking into this kind of thing, I want you to open ChatGPT, okay? And if you don't understand how to get to ChatGPT, there's a lot of people that are around you that know how to do it. If you're a senior citizen and you're in the nursing home and you don't use the computer or your phone, I mean, have your grandkids come over or your kids and have them fired up and ask it some questions so you know that it's it's the greatest impartial third party that you can get because it's data collected. Okay. And when somebody's trying to tell you a lie about something, then we can go to this and say, well, this is the huge data set, and it's saying that most of your early premiums do not go to cash value. They go to commissions, policy fees, administrative costs, insurance charges. The first 5 to 10 years of your cash value is often less than what you paid in. Let that sink in because, I'll do a show on compounding interest. And if you just take $1,000 and put it in the S&P 500 for 65 years, that would be very interesting to see. As a matter of fact, let's do that. What does $1,000 put in the S&P 500 for 65 years look like? So when your great grandchildren get born, and you put $1,000 into the S&P 500, this is saying that it's going to be roughly $500,000. That's a lot of money. So if we take that for 10 years, I mean, how much money are you losing 5 or 10 years in insurance policy? And there's more. Just keep asking this computer brain simulator the right questions when somebody says, hey, we're going to protect you from the market downturns. And, and this is when I say I will invite anyone who thinks that this is a good idea for their grandma and they sell life insurance, they can come on my show and we'll open the chat GPT window and we will ask the chat GPT questions and we'll go back and forth and ask each other questions. And I am willing to be the host and say, why is this good? And then we can test the theory, and I'll tell you why it's good because somebody is buying a mountain cabin with that money that you're not getting. And that's the only reason it's good, because people are afraid. And there are people that fuel that fear in them. And they say, you're going to get a guaranteed return of 4 or 5%. Okay. And if the market goes down, you're not going to lose anything. Okay. So they're betting that in the down years, they're just not going to pay you any interest. But in the years when it's 10% or 18%, they're going to keep the difference between the 5% that you always get, and they're going to make money on the other ones to flatten out those other years. And there's a whole bunch of other ugliness going on, but they are not helping you or saving you from anything. And anybody that wants to get on a live broadcast on YouTube or TikTok or whatever and explain to me why this is a good thing, I invite you to, mark at markhope.com, send me an email, and we'll arrange a show and we'll talk about why that is a good idea for people. I've rambled on, and I am going to end the show in the usual fashion. And I'm going to say, if nobody told you they love you today, I love you. And there's no damn thing you can do about that. And